Welcome to Bible in My Daily Life. Today we're going to walk through one of the most unforgettable stories in the Bible, the 10 Plagues of Egypt. It's not just about miracles and disasters. It's about God's power, His justice, and His love for His people. And at the end, we'll see how this story still speaks to our lives today. Moses stood before Pharaoh with God's message, "Let my people go, so that they may worship me." But Pharaoh laughed and refused. So God began to show His power over Egypt and all its so-called gods. Plague 1, water to blood. The lifeline of Egypt, the great Nile River, suddenly turned red like blood. Fish floated lifeless, and the people could not drink. The land reeked with death. Yet Pharaoh's heart grew harder. Plague 2, frogs. Soon after, frogs swarmed from the river. They filled the streets, leapt into ovens, and even hopped across Pharaoh's throne. Egypt was overwhelmed with frogs, but still, Pharaoh shook his head. Plague 3, gnats. Then the very dust of the ground rose into the air and became gnats. Tiny insects crawled on man and beast alike, biting and stinging. Even Pharaoh's magicians whispered, "This is the finger of God." But Pharaoh would not listen. Plague 4, flies. Thick swarms of flies covered Egypt, buzzing into homes and darkening the skies. But in the land where God's people lived, there were none. Pharaoh began to bargain, but when the flies left, his heart hardened once more. Plague 5, livestock disease. Next, a plague struck the animals. Horses, camels, cattle, all of Egypt's livestock grew sick and fell. But not a single animal of the Israelites was touched. Yet Pharaoh refused to let them go. Plague 6, boils. Then, painful boils broke out on the Egyptians. From servant to king, no one could stand without wincing. Still, Pharaoh's pride would not bend. 7, hail and fire. The skies thundered as hailstones fell. Hail mixed with fire. Crops were shattered, trees splintered, and the land was ruined. Pharaoh trembled, even begged Moses to pray for him. But when the storm stopped, he turned stubborn again. Plague 8, locusts. Then came the locusts, rolling in like a black cloud. They devoured everything green, leaving Egypt bare and hopeless. Yet even then, Pharaoh refused. Plague 9, darkness. For 3 whole days, darkness blanketed the land. The Egyptians could not see one another, nor leave their homes. Yet in the homes of God's people, there was light. Pharaoh's heart remained hard as stone. Plague 10, death of the firstborn. Finally came the most terrible plague of all. At midnight, death swept through Egypt, taking the firstborn of every household. But the Israelites, who had marked their doors with the blood of the Lamb, were spared. A great cry rose in Egypt that night. Pharaoh, broken and defeated, told Moses, "Go, take your people and leave." And so, God's people walked out of Egypt, free at last. They left with hope in their hearts, because God Himself had delivered them. Life application. Narrator, gentle, reflective. This story is more than history. It's a message for us today. It reminds us that God is powerful, greater than any challenge or fear in our lives. It shows us that God protects His people, those who trust Him and follow His word. It warns us about the danger of a hard heart, like Pharaoh's, which only brings pain. And most importantly, it points us to Jesus, our Passover Lamb, whose blood saves us and gives us life. So, when life feels overwhelming, remember, the same God who delivered Israel is with you today.